Atwater. Has anybody ever been to Atwater?
Brewery.
The bar is right in the brewery. You're surrounded by the vats and everything.
You can almost go right up to them and just draw a beer from them. I mean, it's that close.
Yeah.
So it was very rustic, but it was kind of fun. But there was no internet, so.
There was none.
It'd be great if they got it because we could do a podcast.
Yes.
They'd let us. They would because it'd be good advertising for them.
You showed off maybe 410 through interpretive dance.
Yeah, but the beer was fantastic.
Oh,
it was so fresh.
I have never had a fresher beer.
So, if you guys are ever in Detroit, down near the river, in the warehouse district,
yeah,
like at Sailors,
and they sell these things called growlers. It's a jug that you can get filled up.
Yeah,
you can take it back and have it refilled.
Looking good over
but
there.
if you do, beware that you must wash it first. They will take it from your hand and tap the beer right into it.
Matt, do your audio test. Matt, do your audio test right now.
Audio test.
Anyone who just joined, we've got
Testing
free coffee over here, so please help yourselves.
Yeah, you need to sing your song.
And if you want to be on the live broadcast, it's
over here.
The video feed is capturing this side of the room.
Yes.
So seat yourself to this side. If you don't want to be, seat yourself on the other side. We don't. You're just F. This is a public space. If you don't want to be on, don't be here.
Sit over there. What's going on?
I can copy the Hangout link.
Oh, I got to get in the IRC.
Yeah, I just.
You gotta get on camera. This is my alibi.
I got it.
So is there gonna be a chat?
Yeah, I'm getting on the IRC right now.
Yeah, we're on IRC. It's Freenode server, and it's on pound SMLR.
SMLR. And I will be taking votes on if you want me to de-op Tony and kick him.
All right. Okay.
He's gonna take votes on whether Tony will be on you.
Hey now.
All right. All right. So, about approximately how close are we to kicking this thing off?
I'm ready. I've been running for 20 minutes.
Less than 1 minute we'll be going live. This is the pressure time for Tony because he's the
he's our tech guy. He sets
guy.
it all up and gets it going. So whenever we're not in his basement, he has problems.
Well, he has problems. It's just that he's got a lot of little extra things to do, and then he has to contend with distractions. So, yeah. And just for those of you who are here while Tony does this, I'll just go ahead and tell you the podcast has been going since I think October of 2011. It first started off with both of you. And then you asked a few people to join, and they all refused. And then you asked me, and I said, "Yeah."
That's what happened.
That's right. So I actually joined. I think
Pat was one of the guys we
You're
asked.
too far away. I'm sleeping. I'm Sunday.
So
We asked Pat and we asked Carl. We're sorry, Mary, you are a third choice.
that's okay.
But you know what? We regret it because you've been a fabulous addition to this show.
Thank you. But anyway, so I
don't
joined.
regret asking you. We regret you being the third choice.
Right. That's excellent clarification.
But anyway, so I joined the podcast in January of last year.
January 1st.
And, yeah, January 1st. So yeah, I've been here since like about what, the 13th or 14th or 15th one. And this one is going to be episode 81. It's the podcast. For those of you who have not listened to it, it goes out weekly.
How many of you are regular listeners to our show?
Okay.
3.
It's a weekly Linux podcast. It's a combination. We do a distro review every week. We also have some little news, some things that occurred in the news the previous week. We talk about those. We also have Matt provides the kernel updates, what was released, kernel quote of the week.
Yeah.
We also have a little
it's the kernel developer quote of the week.
Yes.
Most of the time, it is not related to kernel development.
but we also have a little toolbox, the SMLR toolbox, which we share a particular tool or some other little handy aid, as far as maybe system administration or using your Linux desktop or laptop. We also have a little game show that we do. It's called Is It Alive? And this week is Twist Week, and it actually is really different than it normally is. So I stayed up half the night to get it done. But anyway, so that's what it is. And then at the very end, we do our listener feedback where people maybe have emailed us or posted comments to the show on our website. So we, talk about those. And then we end the show with a little bit of outro music. And sometimes it's a competition as to whose taste in music wins out.
I never win. I never get my taste in music.
Hey, you
Heavy
like
metal.
last week's?
Yeah. Heavy metal,
Punk rock.
punk rock kind of. And I usually will go to Jamendo, which is for those of you who don't know about Jamendo.com, I call it kind of an open source sort of, not free
Creative
exactly,
Commons.
it's a kind of Creative Commons music site where artists will post their music there. And so I'll put in maybe odd combinations of instruments like
Banjo, accordion, and
or something like that. And so we just see what's there, and if it sounds good, then we use it. So that's the algorithm we use for our music. So anyway, but that's what it is. We do a live audio stream.
A live audio stream.
And
a live video stream.
And a live video
stream.
Yep.
And then we have an IRC that's active during the show. And I think we're all in there now. We've got a few folks.
We're in there.
Right
Who else is in there?
Menders.
That's me.
You.
Arcs is in there.
Yep.
The Zao. Chatter's not there yet. Claudio's not there.
And SMLR.
Popey's not there. Profus is in there.
Some of those guys are early morning guys, so they may not realize it.
And ARX. Oh, SMLR is on there now.
That's
That's our logger bot. So be aware if you participate in our IRC, you will be logged.
That's right.
And that's just so you can read what you said later. All right,
Yeah,
are we ready to go?
If we put links in the show notes or something, then somebody can go back through and read the live.
Where do you see the live stream from?
We live video stream on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
and he's posting. What he does is when we get it all set up, Tony then posts the link to the live video stream in the chat.
In the chat. So
IRC
then if you're in the
chat.
IRC channel,
You can
just
watch
click the link and it goes
You
right
can watch
there.
it. So.
I normally don't. It's just like one more thing that I've been doing that. But we post in IRC, in Facebook, and in Google Plus.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you follow us on Google Plus, you'll get the link also.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready?
We are ready.
All right.
We're ready.
All right. So you're listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This is Tony Bemis.
Matt Enders.
And Mary Tomich.
This is episode 81.
Live from PenguinCon. Woohoo!
Woohoo! With Mary's idea.
That's right. For those of you who are here, for everyone who listens to it afterwards, it's going to be recorded at the
Yes.
But anyway, we're glad we're glad we're here. We had a good time.
Yes.
And so let's kind of catch up. Normally what we do, Matt, we catch up on
what we did last week.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
All right. So what was your high point at PenguinCon?
At the PenguinCon was I
You got a free
received
book.
a copy of Absolute Open BSD by Michael Lucas. It's from No Starch Press, and I got the second printed copy ever, and it is autographed.
Second edition
And it's the second edition, but it's the second printed copy
of the second edition.
of the second edition, and I have to review it on the show in a month. So
That's right. And
I'm on chapter 2. Maybe you can see my bookmark right now.
that's right. And you're doing very well, Matt. And in conjunction with that, I'm going to then be doing a distro review of OpenBSD. Normally, I do Linux distros, but we're going to get off the beaten track and try OpenBSD.
We're actually considering an all BSD episode for that one.
Yeah. So that would be kind of cool. So Tony, what were you up to this past week?
Well, PenguinCon.
Right. That's right. I saw the picture of you on your way to PenguinCon. You had
While he's driving,
Crazy.
if you're not, don't follow his Google Plus feed. While he's driving, he takes a picture of himself on the way to PenguinCon.
And then if you look into the picture in the back seat, there's an empty baby thing. What happened to the baby? But anyway, yeah. So that was pretty funny. I like that. Yeah. So and of course. As far as I go,
what did you do?
Well, one of the most fun things I did this past week, aside from being here at PenguinCon, is I had built. I'm kind of a database geek, and I'm using MySQL for some things. And normally, when I create a new table in there, I take advantage of PHP MyAdmin's little GUI interface and just go through the various little fields, type in my fields, the parameters, and that type of thing. Well, what I ended up doing for the first time ever is I used a SQL query statement, create table query statement, and created my whole table. Now, after a couple of little errors, which I took care of.
Then it was drop table.
No, actually, it worked. It worked
Okay.
perfectly. And then I had to import about 13,000 records. Bingo, it went just beautifully. It was a CSV file, so that was the most exciting thing I did. And then, of course, non-Penguicon thing.
Yes.
But just watching you prepare for the show today, Matt, was very exciting.
For those of you that weren't here yet, I tipped over a little far in my chair and landed on the floor.
So anyway, but
Yeah.
that's right. So I guess we've kind of caught up. I guess it's time to move on to
the Colonel News.
That's right.
All right.
What's
We
going
have
on?
a release candidate on Sunday, the 21st of April, 2013, at 1500 Pacific Daylight Time. Linus Torvalds released kernel 3.9-RC8, and this is what he had to say about it. Yes, I was really hoping and originally planning to release 3.9 final this weekend, but we had enough issues that I just didn't feel comfy about it. It was borderline, and none of the issues were huge, and maybe I could have called this just 3.9 and opened the merge window, but hey, another week won't hurt. The bulk of the changes here are networking, both core and drivers, but there's Arch fixes, Spark, x86, ARM, and PowerPC, and random other stuff. A couple of reverts and some cleanups. The short log gives some flavor of the details. Nothing here on its own would have delayed 3.9, but for me, I was hoping for a calmer week. Please don't send me pull requests unless it's something really critical, and let's aim for a nice calm 3.9 release next weekend, okay? Which is today. Linus tends to release the kernels on Sunday right after we do the show. So the release candidates are usually a week old.
Yeah. Of course, we do it early in the morning usually,
Yes.
so maybe probably happening right now.
Yeah. So the main line is 3.9-RC8, and our stable updates this week were on Thursday, Thursday the 25th of April, 2013 at 21:27 Pacific Daylight Time. Greg Crow-Hartman released kernel 3.8.9 with 58 files changed, 405 lines inserted, 222 lines deleted. On Thursday, the 25th of April, 2013 at 21:29 Pacific Daylight Time, Greg Crow-Hartman released kernel 3.4.42 with 39 files changed, 283 lines inserted, and 166 lines deleted. Then on Thursday, the 25th of April, 2013 at 21:30 Pacific Daylight Time, Greg Crow-Hartman released kernel 3.0.75 with 29 files changed, 227 lines inserted, and 171 lines deleted. And then on Friday, April 26th at 12:25, Pacific Daylight Time, Greg Crow-Hartman released kernel 3.8.10. Now you'll notice that 3.8.9 happened just a couple of days earlier. That was because this was to fix one problem. He says, it fixes a build error in the 3.8.9 release. If you can properly build that kernel, there's no need for you to upgrade. Hint, if you enable config_ns, you need this release. Many thanks to Shay Levy for pointing out the problem. And then on Friday, the 26th of April, 2013, at 12:42 Greenwich Mean Time, Ben Hutchings released kernel 3.2.44 with 91 files changed, 678 lines deleted, inserted, and 226 lines deleted. And will somebody stop messing with the lights?
I think they're in the next room.
I know, but maybe they can hear my loudness.
That's all right. Well, we still have.
Someone has taken advantage of the situation to take a picture.
That's pretty good. Got a soft
And
blow.
there they go again.
That's all right. We can still read. That's
Yes.
all right. We're going to keep going
All right.
because we're professionals.
Yes. And my kernel developer quote of the week comes from Greg Crow-Hartman. He says, time to build a kernel. Real time, 665 minutes, 28 seconds. User time, 585 minutes, 42 seconds.
Ooh.
System time, 30 minutes, 35 seconds. And he says, I don't recommend doing a kernel build for a Raspberry Pi on a Raspberry Pi unless you have a lot of spare time.
600 minutes is what, 10 hours?
It's a long freaking time.
Wow, that is a long.
So
time.
yeah,
All right.
And that's the Kernel News.
Thanks,
All right.
Matt.
You're welcome.
So I guess we're moving on to.
Yep, to the distros of the week.
Distros of the week.
That's right.
Yep, so this is the part where I go through and look up the available, or what distros have been released for the week.
What is their problem with these lights?
We'll be fine. We're just gonna.
I would rather rampage. Let's get the pitchforks and find out who's doing it right now.
That's all right.
All right. So, starting off at the beginning of the week, we had Calculate Linux 13.4. That was released by Alexander Traversky.
Yeah, that sounds pretty close. As a matter of fact,
Which Calculate Linux is a Gentoo-based distro with KDE, GNOME 2, or XFCE.
yeah,
But that's your review.
that's going to be my review this week. Calculate Linux, and the reason why I'm doing it is because it came right out after Scientific Linux, and I was feeling particularly intellectual.
Scientific.
Yeah, so I thought, oh, go ahead and do that. So we'll be hearing that in a few minutes.
Yeah, and on the next one was the 24th. We have Red Flag Linux 8.0, which is a Beijing-based software company that specializes in development of open source software products for the local market, and it's specialized for them, right?
Yeah, it pretty much is. And actually, Red Flag Linux just had a kind of a KDE summit, Chinese style, in Beijing, and it was provided.
Chinese now? Is
Yeah.
that like a Chinese fire drill where at the
So
stop
don't
light,
run
you all
around?
jump out and run around the car?
No, but anyway, so that was on I think at the end of March.
Oh my God.
So anyway, but it was an opportunity for KDE folks to get together, and I think that KDE is probably going to maybe play more of a role in that particular distro.
Yeah.
I hope Matt's not taken into custody when he.
We have a few minutes where he doesn't have to talk. I think it's all right.
That's good. All right, what's next, Tony?
Next is all the Ubuntu releases.
Oh my God! And you know what? There are like 8 of them.
Yeah, and there's a couple extras that I don't remember seeing last time
Mm-hmm.
or in the past.
Yes.
So we have the main Ubuntu 13.04 was released on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Edubuntu, Kubuntu, Xubuntu, Lubuntu, Studio Ubuntu, or Ubuntu Studio actually.
Mm-hmm.
New one is Ubuntu GNOME.
Yeah, I think.
So for those that you like GNOME 3 and you do not like Unity, then that's the one for you.
Go back over there!
All right.
I think Matt has finally fixed our lighting.
Yeah, when you were gone, I was saying I was hoping you were taken into custody. All right, keep going, Tony.
And then there's Ubuntu Kalen, which I've never heard of this one before, but it's a variant on Ubuntu, localized into simple Chinese and thoroughly customized to suit the tastes and habits of the Chinese users.
I think that's the distro that Canonical is working with some organizations in China, apparently, to create a distro, a version of Ubuntu specifically for China. So that's Ubuntu Kalen. Yeah.
And if you're not sure what the other ones I rattled off, Kubuntu is KDE. Xubuntu has XFCE as the desktop.
Mm-hmm.
Edubuntu is more for schools and communities, and it has terminal servers, or
I'll have another stroke.
LTSP, which is the Linux terminal server project, has that baked into it so that they can do network booting into other machines. Lubuntu
Is it that one? Oh, well.
LXDE.
It's the neighbors, George.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Normal. We're
Yeah,
doing
because
a
we've
live.
got video cast going on, and it's yeah.
Oh, okay. This should be. All right, that's fine. We'll and for everyone, this will probably be cut out of the recorded version.
The edited version.
You'll have a chance to
afterwards.
listen to what is released. Well, after the music, we have the outtakes. So,
Yeah.
So get past the music, and you may hear something funny. I didn't have a problem with the license. All right. So we're.
All right. So we were talking about the different Ubuntu releases. So we left off with Ubuntu.
Mm-hmm.
So GNOME Ubuntu, like I said,
We've only made it as
GNOME
far as
3.
Ubuntu.
No, he's just doing a quick rundown of what
okay.
they are. Just a quick one.
Right.
We're not going to
And
go
then
there.
Kalen, which we also mentioned a second
There
ago.
we go. Yeah.
We also, on the 26th, we have Sparky Linux 2.1.1 Mate.
Mm-hmm.
Paulo Pajanowski.
Yeah, that sounds. Paweł. Yeah, Pajanowski.
Yep, and it's using Mate or Mate, which is a fork of GNOME 2.
Yeah.
And it's a Debian-based distro.
Yeah, and I was going to mention about Sparky Linux is that they tout themselves as a lightweight, because I went out to the website, did a little investigating. They tout themselves as a lightweight Linux distribution, but over time now, the size of the distro has grown to a DVD size. So any older computers, it's going to be a challenge for them. So what they've done very kindly is on their
That's scary.
is
Yes, you are.
so anyway, I'll continue. So Sparky Linux, what they've done is they provided a set of instructions on the website for booting it from a USB drive in case your older computer doesn't have a DVD drive. So I thought that was kind of convenient for them to do.
Yeah.
Hopefully it has a USB.
Yeah, but if it's old enough that it doesn't have a DVD drive, is it even going to boot from USB?
Well, you know, who knows?
It's not even a half USB.
It might not. It might
No,
not.
I have some computers that are CD only that have USB.
USB 1, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one, Tony.
But they don't boot from USB.
All right, the next one we have is Simplice Linux 4, which is like a fast and lightweight distribution with OpenBox and Debian Unstable as its branch.
Yeah, and you know they're calling this release Atom Heart Mother, which I'm not sure.
Atom Heart Mother.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're calling
It's a
it.
Pink Floyd album.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Really?
Ah.
Okay. All right, that makes sense
Way
then.
back.
Way back.
Like way before things like
Okay.
Set the controls for the heart of the
Dark
sun
Side.
before set the controls for the heart of the sun.
yeah that era.
Okay. But with this release, Tony, they switched to a full rolling release model, which is kind of interesting. And they also, something I noted too when I went to their site and did a little investigating, is that they have their own installation program called Linstaller. And it's simplest Linux oriented, but thanks to its configuration system, it can be adapted to many other live distributions. So that was kind of interesting. And then one last thing about them is that they've got something called Bricks. Now, Bricks is a new tool that permits permits the user to easily remove some resource-intensive applications, such as Bluetooth or printing. If you've got an older computer that doesn't have Bluetooth support on it, you can get rid of that through this program called Bricks.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And now, last but not
The
least,
last one is Descent OS
Yes.
4.0, which is also a Debian-based distro with Mate as its desktop environment.
Profis says, "I don't want the light Moonlight edition."
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah, and with Descent, they in this particular release, what they did is they replaced Midori, which is a browser, with Iceweasel, which is the open source version. Open source, I guess it's the free version of Firefox. And they also something.
Of what?
Firefox. I think Iceweasel is Firefox with.
Iceweasel is with all their artwork mostly removed,
Yeah.
because that's what's got the
And that's what Debian ships with, right?
right. Yeah.
Iceweasel. But what they did, Descent, they added a small application known as a support channel that allows anyone seeking support to connect directly with the chat room and talk with other users about their issues immediately. So that's kind of nice. You click the button and bingo, you're into that little IRC/support area. So kind of a nice touch, I thought. So, and I guess that kind of rounds it out, right?
Yeah. And then we go for the top 5 of the week.
Top 5.
Yeah, according to DistroWatch.
Now these are by DistroWatch page heads, which are kind of mean nothing, but.
Oh, we still talk about it. Number 5 is Ubuntu GNOME with 1827.
And trending up
No surprise there, actually.
because of the release.
Mhm.
Number 4 is Fedora with 1994.
And trending up.
All right.
Number 3 is Mageia with 2827.
And trending up.
Number 2 is Mint.
What?
Yeah, Mint
That's
is
right.
number 2 now
Gotta love that minty goodness.
with 3451.
And trending up.
And back in the number 1 spot is Ubuntu with 3930.
That's right.
And trending up. And
That's right.
only because they had a release. Next week, Mint will be back
And
on
if you
top.
if you added all the Ubuntu different desktops to it, it'd be over 5,000. Just
Nobody
saying,
asked
just
for
saying.
your opinion, Mary.
All right. Well,
I mean, it'd be well over because you have Kubuntu, Lubuntu, Xubuntu.
But
Yeah.
Mint is
Yeah.
the Mint desktop. That's it. That's all there is. That's what.
No.
No one asked for your opinion either, Kevin.
okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep our podcast rolling. I guess we'll follow up with what's next.
On the news.
No,
No?
it's Mary's Distro is next.
Oh shit! Yeah, we got married.
So Mary,
Ah, yes. Well, anyway, and one thing to mention is that Tony is very skilled at editing. So I'm sure that word will appear in the final version. All right, but what we're going to do this week is I'm going to move on to my my review of the week. Now, when you hear the name of this distro that I'm reviewing this week, you're inclined to think it's designed for specialist processing, science, math, stuff like that. But Calculate Linux is more than just that. It's actually been optimized for 2 distinct groups of users. There's the home users and then small to medium-sized businesses. And not only that, it also has a media center edition, which I was very surprised to see.
Calculate Linux.
Yeah, so I downloaded, and I'm going to talk about the main, the desktop version, but I also downloaded the media center. It's basically XBMC on a DVD. So that's what it is. Different color themes, that type of thing. But yeah, so Calculate Linux is not what I thought it was when I first got there. But its desktop complements its server solution, which, according to the website, can replace a Windows NT domain controller. And it provides, provides additional services for users. Well, first I'm going to cover the vitals. The name, of course, is Calculate Linux. The maintainer is Alexander Chatsevsky. The distro's latest birthday. Now, Calculate Linux is a rolling release, but 13.4 was released on April 21st, 2013. It's a derivative of Gen 2. The kernel that's available in this release is kernel 3.8.4. And the review desktop is KDE 410.1. Now, first, the live environment. Calculate Linux takes a while to boot. After all, it's a 2.2 gigabyte DVD, but when it's done, it finishes with a flourish. Music and cool desktop wallpaper with 2 penguins fishing. But wait, this Gen 2 based distro has 2 emperor penguins fishing. Anyone not aware of it, Gen 2 is a type of penguin. So what's up with the fact they got emperor penguins? They didn't quite figure that out. But the wallpaper finishes with the tagline, Easy Linux from the source. And again, boot up was very easy, went into a very nice desktop.
It's based on Gen 2, but you don't have to compile everything, right?
No, it's all...
There's a binary.
Yeah, it's all taken care of for you. And as a matter of fact, the installed environment, what I did, I took advantage of the option to install to a USB. And so the installed environment is from the USB. I never actually installed it on my hard drive. But we'll talk about that in a minute, too. As noted earlier, it's KDE, but Calculate has configured the Plasma desktop a bit differently. The panel so typically seen at the bottom of the screen is at the top, and it bears resemblance to GNOME's layout. System tray icons are on the right, and the traditional menu-style launcher is on the left, along with a desktop switcher for 4 desktops, and a nice folder drop-down for all of your commonly used places. The cache is gone because they locked the panel too. Those of you who aren't familiar with KDE, there's like a little configuration cache. And when I realized, I knew it was KDE going in, and I thought, where's the cache? Well, they've locked it. And so when you lock your panel, the cache goes away. And if you then unlock it, it appears, and you can configure it. Now, Calculate Linux's desktop contained some interesting assortment of icons. You had a home folder, gparted, because they switched to gparted as their partitioning utility on this release. And there was an install icon. And also what I thought was very helpful.
So the installer doesn't actually do the partitioning, it drops you out to Gparted where you do the partitioning and drops you back into the installer?
Somewhat, but remember, I installed on a USB, so I didn't
It will
have to
be the
deal
same
with that.
process.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but also it has an install guide, which I thought was really helpful because it opens up and it just will step you through the entire process. And when we talk about Gen 2 based distros, we're going to talk about the package manager in a little bit. And then finally, Conversation, which is an IRC channel chat client, is also on the desktop. Now, hidden at the bottom was a panel, which was, again, it was hidden by default, and I initially missed it during the live, my checking out of the live desktop. Let's see, the defaults. The default browser for Calculate is, of course, Conqueror and Chromium. The Office suite is LibreOffice 3.6.4.3. It's also called the Gen 2 official package, and when you open it up, you get the little cow there, that little Gen 2 cow, which is kind of interesting. The mail client is Kmail, and of course the file manager is Dolphin, and Conqueror can also be used as a file manager by selecting that profile from the drop down in the Conqueror window.
So you can eschew Dolphin for Conqueror by default?
I'm sorry?
You can eschew Dolphin
Yes.
for Conqueror by default?
Yeah, you would have to go into where you set up your defaults and change that, but yeah, it's available. Which I like to see because I've always liked Conqueror, and I didn't like Dolphin at first when it first came out, but now I love it.
Right.
So figure that out. All right, the install process. Now getting to the install process is easy in Calculate Linux. There's a link on the desktop, and then there's the Calculate console. Now the Calculate console, I use this console to prepare a USB drive for install. I selected flash install and was taken to another screen which showed my 4 GB flash drive. I had the opportunity under advanced parameters to add the mount point, file system, format and size. All of that I was able to do. Once in place, I clicked the install button, but wait, the partition was still mounted and I lost my settings. So I took care of that and then proceeded again. And then the process takes you through 4 steps: formatting the partitions, unpacking the system image to the target, configuring flash install, and preparing the system for reboot. Calculate Linux completes the process a little inelegantly. The DVD is not ejected, but again, I kind of took care of that before post finished when I rebooted, and then it goes to Grub, and it was all, it was a success. I was able to get that out of there, reboot into it just fine. Now the installed environment, there are a couple of aspects to this Linux distro that bemused me. For example, when the screen locked, again, if you step away from it for a few minutes, your screen will go into lock mode, and you have to enter, allegedly, you have to enter a password to get back in to unlock it. Well, what's interesting is that you supply a password to unlock the screen, but not with Calculate Linux. All you have to do is press a key or move the mouse, and the login screen disappears.
Yeah, the same thing happens with me on when I did my fed up from 17 to 18 with Aurora. The same thing started happening. Yeah. It hasn't annoyed me enough to figure out how to turn it off.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's a screensaver that looks like a login screen, and you just move your mouse and it goes away. I thought that was kind of odd. I'd not seen that before, so, but it was a little different. But that's fine. Now, also, the other thing that was a little puzzling for me was the fact that the settings did not persist on the USB install. Now, typically, I think you have, at least in a lot of them that I've seen, you have the ability to either set that up as an option or not. And from what I can recall, there was no option to set that up as, there was no option visible to set that up. And that just simply means I can save, for example, my left-handedness. I can save that as my mouse.
And how was the mouse configured? Was it easy, straightforward?
Yeah, because it's KDE.
Yeah. What was that one you had the problem with, though? That was KDE also.
Riser. Was it Riser?
No, it was Razer QT.
Oh, Razer
yeah,
QT.
Razer QT didn't, and I had to go into Xorg, and I had to set up a little tiny script to do it automatically. But so the downside to this particular distro is that, again, I couldn't save my settings, so a little disappointing. One of the major differences between this distro and many of the others that I've recently reviewed is package management. Calculate Linux is Gen 2 based, so Portage is the package manager, a utility I have not examined with any depth. So I wondered if I would emerge from my package install testing and tag. Okay, that's an inside joke because emerge is, I believe, the command that's used to install.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, Emerge is
that
the
went over
package
really
manager.
well.
It's the
didn't it?
package manager on Gen 2.
On Gen 2. Yeah, Emerge is-
Portage.
Oh, you're right.
But
Emerge
is
Emerge is the install
Right.
command, where Portage is the package
Right,
manager.
right.
Did I
Yeah.
just say that?
you did.
So
Okay.
you said to install.
Yeah.
To
You
install
didn't say
software.
packages. You said I thought you were
Oh.
talking about the distro.
All right,
No.
that's okay. Well, we're all back on the same road. That's good. All right, so, but anyway, so it's Gen 2 based, and let's see here. Yes, so the documentation icon on the desktop is very helpful because if you've never really used a Gen 2 based distro and you're going to install software, even for testing like I did, and what I chose for my testing install was Firefox. It will step you through the process. Let's see here. So the first thing I did is to make sure the system is up to date. Now for Debian-based systems, it's apt-get update. And those of you who use Debian-based distros or Ubuntu-based distros know that. The Portage Package Manager uses EIX-sync. And I know that's what it is. And you can also use this command to search for a package you're trying to install. And so what I did is I used EIX space Firefox, and I received a list of available packages and versions, and there were a couple of them listed there. And again, there was like a couple of different versions for it. Now, at that point in time, due to my ignorance about Portage, I thought all I had to type was emerge Firefox and it would install. Not quite. I needed to do, let's see here, I needed to do after a couple of false starts and a little help from the Gen 2 wiki, which actually is very helpful. It's got a lot of information there, and if you're interested in a Gen 2 based distro,
Yep.
it's kind of like Arch. You know, Arch is.
But you know what they say about Gen 2?
What's that?
It's for guys with too much time on their hands.
Okay, that probably is it. But what I ended up doing is I typed in, to get it to install successfully, I typed in emerge Firefox-bin, which I believe is, that was the key Firefox package I had to install. That's what Portage was looking for, and with a minute or two, Firefox was listed in my launcher menu, and it opened to the Calculate Linux homepage. So it was, you know, again, once I got the hang of that, it was really very easy to do, because it'll take you through, you know, the resolving of dependencies, all those kinds of steps that you typically go through when you're going to install something. But if you're not familiar with it, you'll want to read up on it a little bit. So anyway, but again, this is a KDE-based distro, so all of the KDE tools are available, and I felt very comfortable using Calculate Linux for, you know, the typical day-to-day kinds of things. The support forums. This is a Russian-based distro, and it's used quite a bit over in Eastern Europe and in Russia. So the English support is not as heavy.
Left a little bit to be desired.
A little bit. But what I did is I simply used Chrome, and Chrome has an automatic translate function. So when I would go to the forum, it would automatically translate it to English for me, and then I was able to search and find some things. But again, I think if Russian is a second language for you, you'll have no problem with this. I'll probably end up sticking with what I use, and that's, you know, Kubuntu for my day-to-day distro. But again, it's very functional, and it was a nice opportunity to check out a Gen 2 based distro. So there are a few interesting programs on here I want to share with you. They have something called FB Reader, which is an open source cross-platform ebook reader. They also have something called Sweeper. Now, I wasn't familiar with this, but as it turns out, Sweeper is a utility that's part of the KDE software compilation. So I went to Synaptic and on my regular laptop, and sure enough, there it was. So I installed it, and it really does some nice housekeeping for you as far as removing history and, you know, various temp files, that kind of thing. There's also something called Sandbox. Now, this is a tool originally used in Gen 2 to monitor and restrict access to the file system for a process. So, you know, again, it kind of has that, Sandbox, I think, is sort of a generic term anyway for restricting something into just keeping it into a certain area. And then there were quite a few photo management tools. So my rating on this, I rate Calculate Linux 3.0. If you're Russian, you should have no problem using it. Or if Russian, as I said, is your second language, you should have no problem with that at all. So my decision to review this distro was a calculated risk, and I figured it would be okay, and it was. So again, that's this week's distro review, Calculate Linux.
Well, all right.
Very cool.
That's right.
When you went to their website, did you try to get on their IRC channel?
No.
Through the Calculate? because Prof is saying he's trying to get on there and it's giving him a bad gateway error.
Oh, is it?
But I don't
Okay.
know.
No, I never did, and that's usually because I only have a few days to do it, and I try to.
Sure.
I didn't
I wonder if it has something to do with the translation too, whether it doesn't translate things right.
Cyrillic. Well, yeah, the
I don't
Russian
know.
alphabet. So it's Cyrillic based, but that's part of the problem too. Is you do need to translate if you're going to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, use the support system there, the forums. Okay, so what are we on to next?
And now it's the news.
It is the
Now
news.
it's the news. All right, Matt, what do you got for us this week?
All right, this week, first up, we have the German parliament says software patents harmful. The Bundestag has taken up a motion against software patents. This is what it says. 1, software patents restrict developers' ability to exercise their copyright. It also says that software patents help create monopolies and hurt innovation. 2, under the European Patent Convention, software patents are illegal. This creates legal uncertainty, which can be expensive for big companies and deadly for small ones. They also said that the government needs to ensure that software is covered by copyright alone. So the Bundestag coming out in favor against software patents.
Well, that's going to be kind of interesting.
it
I mean,
will.
you've got, it's almost the opposite here, where
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
there's
whole
been
system
some-
just needs to be trashed to start it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
using copyrights instead of patents.
Right.
Exactly.
yeah. So okay.
Next up, MariaDB and SkySQL team up. Oracle bought Sun and gained control of MySQL, not by accident. Well, now the creators of MySQL have rejoined forces. SkySQL announced on 4/23 a merger with Monty Program AB. The community part will remain the MariaDB Foundation. Here's what Monty Wideness, the creator of both MySQL and MariaDB, had to say about it. I'm ensuring that the MariaDB project will remain open source forever while knowing that enterprise and community users of both the MySQL and MariaDB databases will benefit from best-in-breed products, services, and support provided by SkySQL. And who doesn't want the best for their kids?
Yeah.
And this is what Patrick Salner, SkySQL CEO, said about it. By bringing on board the talented MariaDB developer team, SkySQL proposes a comprehensive partnership to leading open source database users. We are committed to develop MariaDB into the most versatile open source database. We look forward to working with the MariaDB Foundation as they engage with developers and users of MariaDB, as well as with their important mission of ensuring the independence of the MariaDB project itself. Now, one of the reasons this is so newsworthy is because when Oracle bought Sun, the core developers left, and they formed two separate companies. They formed Monty Program AB, and SkySQL. Were both they're the original creators of MySQL, and now they're back together
again.
And it's just
And
a matter of
MySQL
time before
is still-
MySQL is done.
Yeah.
So, because who knows what Oracle's going to do with it? They have a tendency to shut stuff down. So.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting. See what happens
Yep.
there.
And lastly, I have first quarter earnings off at IBM. IBM reported first quarter earnings of $23.5 billion. That is off 5% year over year. Accompanied with a decline in net income of 1%, it does not bode well. The plan is to leverage Linux to save the day. While power systems are most often used for AIX, Linux runs well on them. Mark Lothbridge, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, had this to say. This opportunity is of similar size to Unix, but growing faster. We've already had some key success with wins this quarter in China and in Europe. And in fact, Watson is based on Power Linux. Though this will take time to mature, it provides a real opportunity for future growth. So IBM's looking to Linux to regain some of that market share that they've slid off.
Yeah, well, I bet they'll be successful.
So do I. So that's all I have.
All right, great. I've got.
All right.
Well, actually, my news this week is mainly the conventions thing, so we can either do it now or I can wait till we roll through the rest of the news. What's your preference there, Tony?
I actually didn't have anything with the news either. So
Okay.
we
Great.
can continue on to the convention scene.
Yeah, we will as soon as I do my KDE corner. I have that part. And each week, of course, I have, because I use KDE as my primary desktop environment, I kind of keep an eye on what's going on in that scene. And there was a KDE Tea Time podcast that was just released, I think, about a week and a half ago, which I missed last week. I just couldn't believe that. So I'll be sure to have a link to that in the show notes. I've got a couple of tools I want to share with you too, and actually one of them I already mentioned, which was Sweeper. That's in the repositories for any of you who use KDE and want to install that. I also discovered yesterday an excellent way to deactivate your touchpad, and I think this may work not just in KDE, but I believe that it'll work in other distros too, and you can give it a try. If you hit your function key and you hit F3, it will turn off your touchpad completely, and I can use my mouse. I have my touchpad now. I can bang on that here, and you know how it is. If you're using a mouse and you accidentally hit your touchpad, your cursor can fly all over the place. So going back to function key, F3 again will reactivate it. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
It does not work.
Doesn't work for you?
No.
You know what it is? I think that it may be an MSI motherboard.
No.
Does it work for you?
It's your laptop.
Yeah.
Look at, see, FN is the blue, purple, and then you have a little touchpad. Turn
Right.
off touchpad.
Well, wait a second, though. Wait a second. I did see that. That was in a couple of the forums when I was looking for ways to turn it off.
Well, that was other people who didn't realize it was a function of their laptop.
Yeah, it could be. But also, there's another way to do it, though, everyone. If you use the command EXINPUT, what that's going to do is that's going to give you a list, or actually X input altogether, space list. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a list of all of the input devices that are recognized by your system. So then once you do that, you just simply look for and again, this is getting into a little more esoteric, but if you look for your particular touchpad, what its ID is, then what you can just simply do is either change it to, you can set prop space, the ID number, and then device enabled or device enabled in quotes space 0, and that'll turn it off. And then putting it back to 1 will turn it back on again.
There are also some applets, I think, for it's called touch freeze, which automatically turns it off if you start typing. If you
Okay.
stop typing, and it re-enables it.
Oh, really? That's nice.
And there's a program called Synaptics.
Yes.
And that's something
Okay.
that also lets you roll that.
Okay. Yeah. I was kind of excited just to see I could do my function F3. Then I find out it's built into my laptop. I guess that's a reason is a pretty good laptop. But anyway, I wanted to share that with anyone who wants to give that a try. The other thing too is that the Muon suite in KDE is their software. There are several aspects to it. You've got the updater, you've got the installer. They have got another part to it called Muon Discover. And if you go into Synaptics, it should automatically be there. What's nice about it is it gives it a more, I'll say a more Ubuntu like look as far as what's available to install. There are little graphics, there are descriptions, this type of thing. Again, it's very helpful. So again, it's Muon Discover. So check that out in your KDE repositories on your laptop. And I guess that's really all that I've got for my KDE corner this week.
Very cool.
So,
and for our listeners, if they didn't hear, we had 2 of our audience members give us a suggestion about other ways to turn your mouse on and off. And one was,
Kevin?
I can't remember. No.
Touch freeze.
Oh,
Yeah, touch freeze. It's a GNOME applet. I can't remember your name.
Jeff.
Jeff, I'm sorry. And then Kevin also had an idea, or using Synaptics as a program that can also do the same thing.
yeah. I mean, you just Google that, and there's a lot
Sure.
of different ways. I just wanted to share the one that worked for me. So
Which
apparently,
is-
it's very
Unique to your laptop.
perhaps. Actually, I think MSI motherboards. I believe it's built into that particular motherboard. So.
Yeah, on mine, I have an IBM Lenovo T61, and it's a function F8.
Okay, there
and
you
I have
go.
a Dell, and it's non-existent.
All right, well, that's all right. We're going to move on. We're moving on to the Linux convention scene for the month of May. On May 2nd through the 4th, we have the Utah Open Source Conference. This is out in Orem, Utah. It's a 3-day conference with over 100 sessions about open source software. And again, the Utah Open Source Foundation, it's a collaboration of volunteers and local user groups. So that sounds pretty interesting for anyone who's out in that area. We've got, and this, Tony, this one's going to be of interest to you. We've got the Linux Audio Conference 2013. This is May 9th through the 12th. Although you're going to have to get on a plane and go to Austria. It's an international conference
He's
about
accepting donations?
Yes. The Kickstarter project will be starting momentarily. It's an open source software conference for music, sound, and other media with Linux as the main platform. And it's going to have such eye-opening lectures as combining granular synthesis with frequency modulation. Yeah, and then also a lot of other really
nifty stuff.
Yeah, really nifty stuff. The next one we've got here is the Enterprise End User Summit. This is May 14th and 15th at the New York Stock Exchange. It's by the Linux Foundation. You know, again, this is an invitation only, so I didn't get my invitation. I'm sure you guys didn't either. But it's going to be held out there in New York. This one here isn't Linux exactly, but it kind of is. It's the Samba XP 2013. This is May 14th through 17th. This is also out in Europe in Göttingen, Germany.
Yeah, that's because.
Yep, it's the 12th International Samba Conference for users and developers. Get to meet the Samba team and discuss requirements, new features, and get an update on current developments. So, and on May 28th and 29th, we've got the Linux Solutions. And this is Linux Solutions Fair in Paris. It's a 2-day event that packs a lot of energy into it. Last year they had 179 exhibitors and over 5,000 visitors, so it sounds pretty good. And then we have Texas Linux Fest. This is May 31st through June 1st. This is at the AT&T Conference Center, and I believe it's down in, you know, I don't have a location for it, but I do have a website for it. And that'll be in the show notes. It's probably either in like Austin or probably Austin. I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably Austin.
Somewhere in Texas.
Yeah, somewhere in Texas. And last but not least, we've got LinuxCon Japan, and this is at the Shinzan Hotel and Conference Center in Tokyo, Japan, May 29th through the 31st. It's a premier Linux conference in Asia. It brings together a unique blend of core developers, administrators, and users and community managers. Oh. And from my homeland, the Croatian Linux Users Convention. That's also in May. It's actually the 15th. I threw that in there thinking, hey, my homeland. But it's 15th through the 17th of May, and that's in Zagreb, Croatia.
All right.
At the Hotel International.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, I know. All right. And so everyone, that is the Linux convention scene for May 2013.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Okay. So what do we got coming up next?
Is it alive?
Is it alive?
That's right. I'm going to have to turn my desktop a little bit there.
Tony, look to your left.
Right. Normally, in the edited version, there's going to be little music, little game show music that plays. And so we'll go ahead with, is it alive? Or is it what's in a name?
What's in a name?
That's right. Every week we have a little episode of Is It Alive? And this is a what I do is I challenge Matt and Tony to determine whether a Linux distro. You guys are allowed to help me out. Yeah, we have a little challenge to whether a Linux distro is alive or dead. Now, every other week is Twist Week, and I twist the concept. Previous twists have included whether it's a Linux distro or a bar drink. That was a fun one. Yeah. And you know, things like that. This one is really different because I'm going to be asking you questions, and then you're going to have multiple choices, and you're going to have to guess. But it'll be kind of fun. So, and you better get this one, Matt.
All right.
All right. You ready for the first one?
I'm ready.
All right. In what year did Fedora Core officially drop Core from its distro releases? 2003, 2005, or 2007?
2007.
2005.
It officially dropped Core from its distro release in 2007. Okay, that's right, because I remember Fedora Core 3, I remember loading that and trying it out. All right. All of these following distros spun off Debian in 1999. Which one was first? LibreNet, Corel, or Storm?
Corel, is that one of them? Corel?
Corel, C-O-R-E-L.
Yeah, Corel.
LibreNet. LibreNet.
Well, wait a minute. You're going Corel or LibreNet?
LibreNet.
Okay, and you're going LibreNet?
LibreNet.
All right. It was Corel by a couple of
Always
months.
stick with your first choice.
That's right. All right, you ready for the next
No,
one?
my choice was always LibreNet. I was getting the pronunciation.
Oh,
Because
Corel, right? No,
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought you were saying Corral, but
Corel.
I'd heard of Corel, but never heard of Corral.
All right, that's lame. Okay, the next one is Sabayon Linux is named after an Italian dessert. It is derived from which of the following distros? Gentoo, Slackware, Debian, or Red Hat?
Gen 2.
Gen 2.
You're correct. It is Sabayon Linux is derived from Gentoo, the derivative. Very good, you guys. Kind of hanging in there. Okay, which of the following distros is the earliest known distro on DistroWatch? In other words, it was like the first one ever listed on DistroWatch. Is it Happy Linux, Wow Linux, hang on a minute here, Storm Linux, or Plop Linux?
Plop.
Slackware is the only one that counts as the first Linux distro ever.
No,
No,
this
that's
is
not
on
the
this is
question.
not
I know. That's the answer, regardless of the question. I'll go with Plop also.
All right, you're both wrong. The very first distro that from what I could research off their site was Storm Linux. And what was interesting about this distro is here's what was posted. Yeah, it was Storm, but I'm sorry. Here's what Happy Linux posted, and this was so comical I decided to include it because they posted that they were dying. I mean, it was basically dead. It said, Happy Linux went dead early May 2002 without any official announcement. If anyone knows the situation, please write to me. Failing that, Happy Linux will remain on this page as historical distribution with not such a happy end. All right, the last question for this morning's edition. Which of these distros was the first to split off Red Hat? Connectiva, Caldera, or WGS Linux Pro?
Caldera.
WGS Linux Pro. And I got that out of Wikipedia. So you'll have to complain to Wikipedia.
They're just wrong. I don't have to complain to anybody.
All
I
right.
just am allowed to have an opinion.
That's right. So I'm thinking that, did he just win by one?
I won by
Did.
one, yes.
You won by one. So
I drug him down. I got him to go to the wrong answer, a couple of them.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. So, all right. Well, join us next week for another edition of Is It Alive?
Dun, 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 dun.
We
'Cause
cut
that's
that
where
out.
the music gets inserted.
Yeah, we cut that. The music goes in there. Yeah. Well, you can go to the YouTube and watch the whole torturous edition. Okay, I guess now we're going on to listener.
Listener feedback.
Yeah.
That's right. We're going to wrap this
I
up.
have a listener feedback from a week ago, actually,
Mhm.
that I forgot to say. This was meant for last week's show, or even the
Okay.
week before, I can't remember. And it's from Brad Alexander, and he said, I just wanted to comment on the RAM, the most RAM he's ever seen on a machine. He used to work at NIH on the Human Genome Project, and in their Linux compute clusters, and one of the clusters actually had a node that was a Sunbox, and it had 512 gigabytes of RAM.
Wow.
What they're referring to is I went into work on my day off a couple of weeks ago to build and put in production these boxes with 128 gigabytes of RAM, because I wanted to be involved because they had the most RAM I'd ever seen in a machine.
Yeah. All right. We also got, and Kevin actually left, but he
He's got a couple of feedbacks
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and talk about that, or?
My email has hung up, so I can't read.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I think I've got most of them. I got an email, or the show got an email from Vast One. A few weeks ago, I reviewed the Citadel Linux, which is Debian-based, that's based actually on SID. At the time, there was only a 64-bit version of the Citadel available, And he emailed me, and actually, one of his, I think one of his collaborators also emailed me to tell us that there's a 32-bit
There is
version.
a 32-bit version available, and Mary will put the link in the show notes.
To the 32-bit version?
Yeah.
Yeah, I better write that down. All right, so that was another item that came in. Also,
Yeah.
last week, I had reviewed Rebel in Linux, and I had a nice email exchange with the maintainer. I think last week I had asked about the Debian multimedia repositories, and after the show, he did respond to us, and he said he was sorry to keep me waiting, but as promised, here's a tutorial on adding Debian multimedia repository to Adrenaline, and Adrenaline is the SID version, I believe, of Rebel and Linux that I reviewed. So again, this is a guy in India. He's very responsive.
Yeah.
And he also thanked us for, he really appreciated the review because he listened to that.
Yeah, and the unique thing about it is it costs $5 to download this distribution, which is kind of unusual. But for that $5, you get lifetime email support from this guy.
Yeah, for the
So-
lifetime of the distro. Now, it's only one guy, so
It may take a
hopefully
minute to get your
Okarsh is going to get
response,
some
but
additional
yeah.
help. Yeah, but he was very responsive to me, and it's the community. It's all about donating, and we, it's just
And
something.
from Visidio, the other gentleman who emailed us was Jed Curtis.
Oh yes,
So
yeah, Jed, yeah, because I mentioned his blog, which is where and then since I mentioned it, I went back there, and he's redone his blog, so he's got a mixture of political and.
yeah, it's jedsdesk.com.
Yeah.
Is his blog.
Yep. And so Jed had put, he had a comment about Visido, and he told us also that it's available 32-bit version. So
Yeah.
I guess that's what else?
Kevin emailed us. He said he liked Matt's analogy of talking about computers and cars, and
Yeah.
you want to tell our audience what you were talking
It
about?
was like, people have no problem paying an auto mechanic to work on their car. But then when it comes to their computers, they think they can fix it themselves. And they try, and they fail, and then it makes my job harder.
In general, we're not talking to our audience because you
Right.
guys are more techies, but we're talking about like end
People in
users or
general.
grandmas and grandpas, and yeah.
That came out of last week. We held a workshop in my neighborhood, my community association. You guys were the experts there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
That's
fun to
kind of
watch.
scary.
Yeah, so they put their Windows hats on for a couple hours to help these folks, because these folks use Windows, of course. But that was.
Yeah, but a computer's not gonna make the slam into a tree if it gets on.
No, it's going to do
No, but
worse.
it
It's
could-
going to turn into a
Something
fucking
about-
spam bot.
Man.
But it. Well, you'll have to cut that out.
Yeah.
And you have to cut that out.
He bleeps all my F-bombs.
Yeah. And the comment was from Gib, who said that the computer isn't going to crash into the tree if the repair is done wrong,
We also had
or
two.
words to that effect.
We also had two comments about the sound effect to use for
Right.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're going to add a sound effect to the beginning of our news section.
segment. Yeah.
And the choice was either a teletype sound.
Or Morse code.
Or
Morse code. Do you have them?
I do, but I'm muted because. I'm
Oh
on
yeah,
Hangout.
that's all right. And I think I like one of the listeners said use them both, and I think what we should do is start off with the Morse code, and it should just then fade into the teletype.
He then, because I said we can't use them both; they're too long. Then Claudio said to use the teletype, and then Richard Osborne said to use them both, and he said we could just play a couple of seconds of each one.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
think yeah. So
Yeah,
if
and
you
I
need me
think-
to help you with that, I can.
Actually, if you listened to last week's show, that's what I did.
Oh, did you fade it?
Yeah,
in?
yeah. I listened.
Oh.
I listened to last
Because
week's show.
I posed the question, and I actually only put like 3 seconds of each.
Okay.
And then I put about 1.5 seconds or something of each into it anyways, and just
Oh.
to see what people would
And you
hear.
did a great job.
Yeah, it sounded good,
All right.
Tony. It sounded
Okay.
good.
Sounded great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, any other listener feedback?
I think there
that's
is.
all I saw.
All
I
right.
have some more.
Oh, you do?
You do?
Let's see. There's
The
more
Kickstarter?
from Kevin O'Brien.
Okay. He must email you because I only saw the one.
He said, "I'll be there with a large coffee in my hand."
Oh, yeah.
He was
I saw
here,
that.
and then
Yes.
he said he had to, but he had
With
to
a
leave
large
11,
coffee in his
so.
hand. And I had another one. I can't find it.
It's
Oh, here it is. From Brad Alexander. He wants us to talk about his friend's Kickstarter, and it's his office mate.
Chocolate, involves chocolate.
Yes.
Photomac chocolate.
Ben Rasmussen, and he runs Potomac Chocolate in Woodbridge, Virginia, though he sells around the world. He has a Kickstarter going currently to replace some equipment. His goal is $10,000, and he is currently at $6,800 with 10 days left. Well, 10 days when he sent me this email on the 24th.
So it's got about a week.
His Kickstarter is at kickstart/16TR5HF.
Which is actually kck.st/16.
The link will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so if you like chocolate, donate to that project.
That's right. I do.
All right.
Now that's all I have.
Okay. And that's all I got. Hey, and we're gonna wrap up. It's gonna be a nice tight show, except for when you were running around with the lights.
Oh my God, those freaking lights!
Okay.
They finally got it solved.
We should have applauded for the guy that came in to fix it.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're gonna. And do we have music
Do
selected?
we know what the outro music is going to be?
I actually want to use some audience participation.
Oh.
You're all gonna
Meaning-
sing.
No.
Just kidding. Just kidding. No, we're gonna do that.
I want you guys to tell me what kind of music you'd like to listen to. We'll take a vote.
Everybody says punk rock. I'll give everyone that says punk rock $1.
A cup of coffee.
Uh,
80s metal.
80s metal.
80s metal?
Yeah,
Yeah, the hair bands. I don't know.
Well, that's glam rock.
No.
All
Anybody
right.
else? What do you want?
Classical.
Classical. Oh my God, I'm gonna
Chopin. Country.
Well, I can get on board with country. If it's not punk rock, it's country.
Balkan carnival music.
Balkan. Techno punk.
Yeah.
There you go.
In honor of one of our panelists here, maybe we should do a chip tune.
Chip.
Oh, there you go. There you
yeah.
go.
I don't know what that is.
8-bit chip
chips.
tunes.
Yeah.
Well, so it's
If
like
you
those-
if you search it,
Oh.
you'll find lots of
Yeah.
I did find chiptune.
All
That's a
right.
genre.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Playing games.
Yeah, try that one. Okay, we're doing this.
Oh, I won't-
We have no idea what this is gonna be like.
it. Yeah.
You gonna try it?
I think we're gonna go with chip tunes. So that was an
I
excellent.
like
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah, I
a
like
great
that
idea. And your name is?
Greg.
Greg, thank you
Greg.
very much. Okay, and our technical director over here is going to get this thing started. Is that what it is? That it, or is that?
Yeah, that's a chip tune.
Is it?
Can you guys hear it? Or?
I like it.
I do too.
Yeah,
That's it.
This song is called "Playing Games" by Cyberjaw.
Almost like. Yeah, almost like Cyber Jeff. I like it. We're going to use that one.
All right.
All right.
That was easy. We
There.
crowdsourced
We
that.
have crowdsourced our outro music for the week.
Oh, I think it's Cyborg Jeff.
Cyborg.
Cyborgjeff.
Yeah,
That would be Cyborg Jeff.
Yeah.
perfect idea. Man, that was the fastest we've ever
It's
found.
Jeff's alias.
All right. Well, I guess you'll hear the entire song if you do listen to the recording.
Yes.
The edited version, you'll hear the
And
entire
be sure, if you do listen to our recording, we put the outtakes from it at the end after the music.
song. And if you're lucky, Tony was recording when Matt tipped over.
He was not recording
I
when I
was
tipped
not.
over, so
Oh,
that will
okay.
not be in the show.
Okay.
Oh, man.
And,
I'm kicking myself right now
there's
for
just
that.
like and it was like well, you heard Matt.
Yeah,
Matt's-
good when he's pounding the wall.
yeah, that's true. You got that part, which is going to be cut out. You're going to have to go through there and kind of cut some of that out. That was Matt lost his mind.
I was going insane.
All right, he was. All right, well, I think we're ready to wrap it up.
We
then.
are.
All right.
All right. So you've been,
And then we'll take questions about podcasting in the show after.
yeah.
If anybody's sticking around.
So you've been listening to the Sunday Morning Lex Review. This was episode 81, PenguinCon,
Live.
live from PenguinCon. This is Tony Bemis.
Matt Enders
And Mary Tomich.
saying, have a good week. See you next week.
See ya. All right, so we're gonna leave the live stream running for now, and
Yep. So if
And then we'll
anybody,
take questions. We'll talk about, what it takes to post a show.
Yeah,
And
if any of you are interested.
have some more coffee. It's there. It's
yep,
for
free
the taking.
coffee.
Courtesy of SMLR.
So,
Yeah, and we actually have this room for at least another 40 minutes.
Oh,
so
Yeah.
are there
So
any
it's
questions
going to take us time to break
about
down.
Yeah.
podcasting and what we do?
Basically, what software are you using?
Everything is in Linux, because that was the biggest thing we wanted to make sure. If this is a Linux podcast, everything's going to be done in Linux. So for recording, we normally have a little digital recorder. It's a Zoom H2N, and it has 4 mics on it. And but we use our 3 mics here. We pipe into it as external, so we can get pretty good quality. That's when we set out to do this. We wanted to have good quality. We didn't want it to sound like some of the other podcasts that aren't. It's fine, man. So then at the beginning, though, we used this old laptop here, which is what we're using today.
Because somebody left the Zoom recorder at home.
Yes. But it still works. It's it's a Pentium 3, 1 gig processor, 512 megs of RAM, and I used MH Wave Edit just as a lightweight recorder. Now we use the Zoom, so it's just recorder right under there. For editing the show, I use Audacity. So it's easy to go through and cut and paste.
It's real easy to use, but unless you do it all the time like Tony does, it takes a long time.
Right.
I had to edit the show a couple
Yes.
of weeks ago, and it took me 5 hours.
I edited it once a couple times actually, and
In general, it takes me about 2 hours to edit the show. So it's typically about twice of what the record time is. And it's just going through and finding the spots to cut out. And then we have sound bites that we drop in.
yeah, there's a little.
And what took it the longest to get the quality working how we wanted it was figuring out what filters to run to clean up the audio, get us all sounding fairly even, which doesn't always happen.
He's saying I'm a little loud.
Yeah.
That's why
Shocking.
No,
isn't it?
he's loud, and then he turns off to the side talks,
Yeah.
which gets quiet, and then gets loud, and
That's
then
why they
turns
put
off
me
to-
on my own channel. We record in stereo, and they record on one channel, and I record on another, so that he can control
Yeah.
my sound better.
Right.
What mics are you using?
These are
Kind of a combination.
Well, we started off with
With
Matt's
these
using, which
old
It's-
antique
it's
microphones.
an EV, which is actually a professional mics. They're electro voice. If you're into mics, you know what it is. But they're old. And then Mary bought these other 2, which are Best Buy specials,
just
like
standard.
$25.
Yeah.
And it goes in. We have a mixer that I can go through and adjust the levels. So as long as people talk the same into the microphone, it sounds good.
You notice how he looked at me, right?
And if you were watching, I was watching the levels and adjusting as we went, because it is hard to keep talking the same.
Yeah, you have to sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did better this week. I stayed in front of the mic.
You did.
No, you didn't. You were running out of the room.
Oh, well,
No.
except for that. I was losing my mind.
And then we have an equalizer also, because
It's on the backup server.
What's the network stuff?
for recording, it's always best if you can get the original, the best, what you record in, then the less filtering, the better it sounds. Because when you do noise removal and sounds, like if you're trying to pull out a hum or a fan noise, then the more you do that filtering and removing things, then the more choppy it sounds.
Right.
And
Well, and you're also taking frequency
Robotic.
out that is in the human voice spectrum. So
right.
your voice
So
sounds
you
differently.
keep the recordings on anything other than SD cards at all?
Yeah. Once we do the recording, I copy it over to my laptop or my desktop, and I do the editing from there. And then I keep multiple versions of the editing. So I'll have like the original it's a WAV file, and then I import that into Audacity. I go through and do all the cuts and the paste and the filtering, and then I save it there, and then I reduce it down to mono, and do one more leveler filter, and then I save it again as that, because if there's anything I need to edit, I have to go back to the original or go back to the previous project, which is the stereo. Then it's easier for me to go through and just bring Matt up or just bring Mary and I down, which I haven't had to do it in a long time, but I still do it that way just in case, because I would have to start from scratch, start all over again if I had to fix something like that. And then for posting, we use our website. We use WordPress, and we have the Blueberry podcast plugin, which goes through and handles the RSS feeds and the way it shows up. We have a player on the website. We have multiple RSS feeds. So one is the main. So if we were to do extra shows or extra like informational posts that wasn't part of our show, then the main RSS feed would pick all that up. We have two other feeds, which one is for MP3 show, and then the other is the OGG feed. So if you'd rather just pull it in OGG and be all open source and free, then you can do that, or the MP3 feed, which is more popular. Windows and Mac users will be able to easily pick that up. But it's what do I have on the show? It's the Freedom Haters.
The Freedom Hater format, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, that's what the majority of our downloads are in the MP3 format.
Right. Just because it's so popular. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I download the MP3 just to be a Freedom Hater.
I'm subscribed to the OGG feed.
We get stats also through our plugin, which shows that we get somewhere around 900 downloads a week. Somewhere around between the two.
Mm-hmm.
It's close. It's somewhere between 800 and 900.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they're slightly inflated. And actually, I think our real listeners is about a quarter of that. So I think we have somewhere around 200 to 300 actual listeners.
It just starts when you click it, they say.
Yeah, every
Right,
time.
because if you have a partial download, it counts that.
Right, and then it starts it again, then it counts that again, or
So
say
if you pause the podcast and
or-
start it up again, it counts as a click?
Or
Not-
if
not
the
pause,
same person
but-
downloads it in multiple places,
Right.
it'll count all those different downloads.
One week I had trouble where it basically didn't even start. I hit 0.5.
Yeah. Wonder why he had that problem, Mary.
Yeah, that's
I made a mistake.
Mary had a typo in the
that's where we
feed
confirmed
name.
that it works that way, because
We had
it picked up
1,300
over
downloads
1,000.
though. It was great.
It was great for our download numbers that week.
It was a really, really good show.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony wasn't on it.
Actually, our best shows are the ones that we do on Saturday night when we all have a beer
Yeah.
or two. But anyway, that was my mistake, because I did screw that up. But I only screwed up the MP3, wasn't it? Or was
Yeah,
it
it
the
was just the MP3.
Yeah.
I was downloading OGG. I never downloaded it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Well, it was. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
you know
a
what?
few
At
weeks
first,
ago.
there was a typo at the beginning, which was which was both of them, and then later in the day when she went through and fixed that, she screwed up the other one.
It was early.
Yeah, I was.
Because I always downloaded it at work, early in the morning, and then I go, what's going on here? I even tried to download directly to Firefox at that point, same thing.
It's possible that there was also an issue with archive.org, because that's what we use for our host for the files.
Mm-hmm.
We use WordPress on my web host, which is A2 hosting, and then we use archive.org to actual for the file host. So it's possible that they had an issue at that time. Oh yeah. Typically, we don't post our show until after 10 in the morning.
I'm talking
But the
about
previous show, or
It had been fixed. That problem was fixed by Monday
No.
morning.
Monday morning?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Monday
Oh, okay.
morning.
Yeah, it should have been fixed by then.
Then it was an archive.org problem.
Right, but if you run into issues like that, let us know. Just email at show@smlr.us. Email us, or
Just book me, I haven't sent it.
Sure. Yeah, let us know if there's issues like that.
I bought a Sansa zip clip, and it's built in firmware, did not play it August very well.
Yeah.
And even its own samples where it would stutter. So I replaced it with rock box, and that plays August fine.
Oh yeah. Have you tried the mic on that? Because I tried the mic on that one time. It's horrible. Yeah, I've heard of people using that for podcasting, just like walking around a convention and trying to get a quick interview.
Mhm.
But the sound quality on that is horrible. So that's why I never end up working with that. That was the main reason actually we got the N2, the Zoom, is so that we could walk around, and then I leave it at home. But I don't know if we didn't set up any interviews for this time anyway. So, all right. Any other questions?
Do you normally have interviews? Or?
No, we do sometimes. We have done interviews in the past, and when we do an interview, it's usually by a remote type of a thing, and they're never live. They're always recorded and then plugged into the show. So.
Yeah, dude. The episodes of the Linux Architecture actually had some of the Kickstarter developers on. But it's just so hard to get a hold of. Set that up. And some of them are in Europe, so they're like, they're up like 4 in the morning doing the live interview with PLPS, but PLPS is just really hard to get email to contact with.
Tilts has gone off track for me.
Yeah, they're half-assed, I think. They don't care.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we don't want to talk bad about other podcasters.
So. No, they do a great podcast.
Yeah.
It's just they've outlasted everybody else.
Right. Yeah, they've been on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just their Linux content lately has not been there. That's my problem.
They ought to do like some of these indie campaign fundings for some of these developers, because a lot of them are just trying to get more attention. Right? It's really hard to stay down. There are hundreds of them going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many different things, just Linux games, just dozens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just Kickstarter, it's Indiegogo, and there's a couple others.
Well, if you have any specifics that you want us to interview or something, let us know.
Yeah, if you want to, Jeff, if you want to be our publicist guy and hook us up with interviewees, we'll be more than happy.
It's not hard. It's the ones I contribute to. I just send them an email, and I post the, there's this link. You got a Linux version. There's this podcast that does Linux related stuff. Go contact that. But a lot of them just couldn't get their emails.
Right.
Well, we answer our emails. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do,
Yeah, we do.
and we can do the interviews in 2 different ways. We've done it in Mumble, where they record it on their end and we record it on our end, which keeps the quality pretty nice. If we do it over Google Hangout, then the quality is pretty low, unless we specifically have them record it and then send it to us. But a lot of times, people that if they're not used to doing something like that, then it's too much work for me to tell them how to do it. Huh? How to record yourself for interviews?
Well, so I just sent you a backstory edition on how you use it.
Yeah.
How to use those podcasts.
I'm thinking it's going to be the other way around. Everybody could tell me what to do. Although we've been doing this for about a year and a half. Our episode 100s can be this fall.
Mm-hmm. I think in September.
September. So we should do another live. Who would you guys be willing to meet us somewhere and we can all hang out in a restaurant or at a bar or a brewery or something?
I'll go for the bar or brewery.
I was just you're talking to morning on Sunday.
No, actually, we've done a couple outings for like the KDE release parties.
Yeah.
And
It's the middle of the week, but
yeah, it's in the middle of the week. It's been at night, like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was fun. And Happy's Pizza delivered right to the brewery. I think I got the feeling that
The
they'd done
delivery
that
guy
before.
was confused about where to go at first.
Yeah, well, so was I trying to get into that place.
Yeah.
But
But if you want to follow us or get this information, then Google Plus, we're on there. We're on Facebook. You can also go to our website and sign up for an account, and we'll send you emails on when we release a show.
Profus wants to know what we listen to as podcasts.
Oh.
What our podcasts are that we listen to.
I listen to, Mary put down Tux Radar, the Linux Action Show, TLLTS, and the Android App Addicts. I listen to Linux Outlaws.
I listen to them sometimes too.
Yeah, Everyday Linux, which I didn't listen to their last one, and by the name, I'm afraid what's happening. It says it's hard breaking up, so I don't know what that means. That's the name of it, so I haven't listened to it yet.
So I don't know.
Sounds like a final show to me.
And then a lot of the Podnut stuff I listen to.
Yeah.
So what's
My hard drive died.
yeah, the
Podnuts Daily, which
Yeah.
is actually a weekly show.
But it's daily on Friday or Thursday or whatever day.
so
Yeah, I listen to BSD Talk, Free as in Freedom, GNU World Order, Linux Basement, Linux for the Rest of Us, Linux Basics, Source Trunk, and Tinfoil Hat.
yeah, that's funny.
Hosted by Art Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have a page about us on our website.
Yeah, I think it's out of date. It doesn't have my podcast right on there.
Well, you need to put it on there.
Yeah, well.
Well, I have a full list. Now I'm going to go and read
I
from
have to go
some
back
of
and
those.
put mine. Have to update mine.
Hacker Public Radio. Yeah, I listen to them all the time because do you guys know what Hacker Public Radio is? HPR. It's a podcast network where they encourage the regular user or techie to call in or make your own podcast and send it into them. So basically, you don't have to have the infrastructure. All you have to do is record yourself, either if you have your own recorder, or you can they have a phone number. You can call into the phone number and record right from the phone. And you just start talking about techie stuff, how you got into Linux. There's a couple regular shows that they run on there.
We were there for a little bit.
What is it? The command line.
That tutorial show about the command line with the different stuff. It's a great podcast, but you've got to listen to the podcast and go to the website at the same time because you've got to really follow along with the tutorial while he's talking about it.
Yeah,
Get
like
the full benefit of it.
the last couple ones was Cyberpunk, Byte Code Game, Playing Ingress, LITS. It's a Linux in the terminal.
Linux in the
Linux in the
Linux
shell.
in the shell. Yeah.
Yeah, and he does a really good job on tutorials. and
Hey, we
stuff.
didn't do our SMLR toolbox.
We did not do our toolbox.
Can we do it now and then splice it in?
No.
Okay.
No, because we have to start breaking down here in a
Yeah,
second.
we do. Okay. Well, next week.
We're not going to do Apticron. I will pick a tool.
Okay. All right. I got it installed and I got the emails.
Good.
All right.
All right.
You had your
Basically-
opportunity. You blew it.
Basically, a tool for Debian-based systems that will email you as on a frequency that you decide what updates are available. And you install this thing. I set up a cron job to run daily, and it emails me daily. There you have it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
That's a bonus.
There's one difference between your setup and say TLFTS. TLFTS is, they don't have that stuff. They're scattered over the place. So they're
Yeah.
dealing with Skype and Asterisk. And
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
they have so many.
I think they generally
Yeah.
use Mumble, and that everybody gets in with. But then if they have somebody that they interview, they have to get something else working.
No, I wasn't on that show, but when we were trying to route my this phone here,
Yeah.
they had me download Mumble and install it, and then
That was Android App Addicts.
yes, or no, Android Nation, or it
Oh.
was one of those Android shows. So they had me download Mumble and get in that way. They remoted into my desktop to help me get it set up because it was just before the show was starting, and it would have taken me a little longer to figure that part out. So they got in and got it running.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think it's a preference, I think, that you run on Mumble.
Yeah.
Actually, Mumble, I mean, it was not bad. You just got to remember to use your keys if you're going to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, when I did that one show with Door, that
Mhm.
was on a via Mumble.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
But Door always has you record too, and then send him your recording.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay. I guess is that about it?
I think so.
Any more questions?
No. All right.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. And thanks, thanks everybody. And then everybody in the IRC channel, thank you.
Yeah.
So have a good rest of the day. You can see what the finished product looks like or hears like.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, normally,
The
oh,
only
Matt's,
thing I'm thinking of doing is, I don't plan on listening to this, but I'm thinking of downloading it anyways, and jumping to that on the outtakes just to get all the good laughs again.
oh my God. I didn't know what to do there. When Matt was getting up and running around. And so we're fine. Just keep going.
I was watching you, she was going,
I couldn't take it anymore, man. I couldn't take it anymore.
she's talking to the mic, because you can tell it's like, where the hell are you going?
Yeah.
So who cleaned out their closet? All the street books out there, like net worth 2.15.
Yeah, I don't know. That happens every year at Penguin Con.